Reasoning with yourself is one thing, but trying to explain that reasoning with another, well, that's just unnecessary. You see, too many times have people here, you beautiful people, it warms my heart to know your intentions. But too often do you try to share your reasoning with your fellow man or woman and base it upon whether or not you get approval. Let me clarify. That may be a little vague. Keep in mind, vagaries and specificities are most certainly meant to be. But for this situation, I shall clarify. The clarity that I am intending on reaching is that the reasoning that one does with oneself does not require approval from the external world. But to act from that place is a whole different story. How can one reason with oneself? Let's use an example. You could be living on an eternal plane. You could be living in a belief system that you've created for yourself where maybe everything goes right for you. Maybe you always are in the right time or right place. You can choose to believe anything is true. For example, you don't have to accept any reality that is unacceptable to you. But to live that way means that you may have to reason with yourself when another person acts as if that is not true. Which you can take it a step further and not acknowledge people's behavior as any type of conflict of your beliefs. Now, I understand this is a little complex, so let's break it down some more. If I were to say this in layman's terms, I would say person A could believe that the world is always perfectly harmonious. And coming from a subjective standpoint, you can choose to see the world that way, as perfect. And everything happens the way it's supposed to. We hear these type of things all the time. Things happen for a reason. God has a plan. Life is good. All of these things support this idea, yet nobody lives by that truth in all moments. Why do we think that is? Because this comes back to the reasoning with oneself. Looking for approval from the external. You see, in order to live as if life is always good, you would have to ignore those that do not believe every moment is good. Now, take it a step further. Do you actually ignore them? Or does their idea that the world is not always good not even exist? And that question holds the key to what all of you beautiful people in this world are doing. Do you see that it's not about ignoring, because that would be accepting that that belief exists? That's the reasoning that one does with oneself, which is so nebulous at times. It is possible for it to be such, and almost ludicrous. It can possibly be viewed as ludicrous to others. You have to go to a level that is possible and possibly considered insane. This is why the reasoning with oneself about what truth is totally and utterly the creation that made this world possible. So the self, which is all there really is, those that have abstractly found a way to feel separateness, that is merely the self's creation as well. And as you notice, I addressed those that have done this. It's not all inclusive, because those that accept separateness as part of reality are those that consider themselves separate, which is why I would allow that type of notion in this moment, while still simultaneously not even be referring to that, as it does not exist. See, and so then you can take it another level. You can go to the frontier of, now you know that I wasn't even referring to that. Keep in mind that the frequencies that I'm speaking to you on are multifaceted and most certainly intentional, as I mentioned before. If you notice that something is very specific or very vague, you will see your own connections in that. Understand that I make no mistakes. The words that I speak are coming from that which you consider divine. Not only are they coming from that, they are that. Therefore, the words are not the sponsorship, unless they are. Therefore, whatever they are, whatever frequency shall make the connection that is best, is all that is, and has ever been, and is all that will ever be. Follow it or don't follow it. It does not matter. The truth that you have shall need no approval. If you should reason with yourself, then that reasoning shall become that which is existence. Say yes one time, and you can remove any no that has ever been inherited. The frequency goes the other way, just as readily. You may say no at any given moment and transform any yes that has been inherited. Now notice that I say inherited, because if you believe that you're separate and that you've believed at one point or another that you could receive things that were not of you, then that is the frequency I speak to you on, even if such things do not exist. Therefore, you know I am not even referring to such things, for those things are not of this topic. For those things are only of the things which I speak. When we go to this level, it is not intended for all to understand, unless you do. Which, of course, you all do. And at any given moment, may it shall be, shall it may. For freedom is what we have in reasoning with ourselves. Now, I know we broke that down. It's time to reach a new level of consciousness. This level of consciousness knows no bounds. You all have been studying quite a bit. You see, I refer to you, as many other channelers, and others that have spirituality and experiences of beings speaking through their body. This is a commonality. I only do this because it seems to be common ground. For those that know, this is not the way that I only speak. And those that know that that has only been done as a medium, you know that I do not refer to you as you. But I may, if a frequency should allow it to not be, just as readily. It gets convoluted for the human mind. Now you can see what I mean. When I do not refer to just people or just things or just life in general, I am the voice of the deafening noiselessness of the universe. You see, the voice is present, whether it is used through vibration or not. So allow me to carry on, as allowance is mine. The human brain has a tendency to want to understand things on a certain level in order to reason and to understand so that it may be conveyed to its fellow social group. Try to hold a belief that cannot be conveyed. Most human brains do not enjoy it. I say that very assumptively because all brains enjoy it, if that should be what is. I speak through Brian at this moment in time so that this may be the message that holds core beliefs just to be efficient, as harmony does work in my nature, as I am harmony. And harmony, believe it or not, includes discord for those that wish upon it. For there is none to wish upon. That is the awareness of those that are harmony and do not have a comparison to consider harmony anything but that which is. So if I should go further with this, one may understand that the idea that something has to make sense in one's personal group, one's social network, one's world, or collective consciousness. I want you to hear these words now. You are the one that made anything that could be reasoned, anything that could be conveyed. And if this is known without a shred of a doubt, if you can hold this deeply with a level of truth beyond experience, then you know that that which cannot be conveyed, rather should not, will not, or has not been conveyed. If that's the way it was, you know that that is something you created as well. So are we holding out when we do not share with someone that I have the awareness that I may manifest at any given moment in eternity and alter the chain of events that one believes as concrete reality? If I could do such things, says this person, then how would I explain to somebody that I can do that without sounding arrogant, without sounding crazy? How do I construct a system that will allow me to use these belief systems, these psychotic natures, these understandings of the universe that bring me to levels of success that my fellow man or woman just do not seem to relate with? How do I get there and not feel like an outcast? Well, you can answer all of these questions by understanding the objective. And that is a double entendre, as you would say. There is an objective standpoint that you can take that holds no observatory captive. It holds no position that can be located. You cannot coordinate, you cannot triangulate these things unless you can. Therefore, once you understand the locale of your truth beyond experience, then you will know that there is no need to express it to anyone or anything. You understand that the world is your creation and not just the semantics of those words, but wholeheartedly, beyond any conceptualization of its meaning. You know that you are in complete control, and this is where I'm going. You must understand that you are God. If you know you are God, then you've understood everything I've said. You know how I know that? Because there is only God. And I'm speaking to him, or her, or me, I, we, them, she, those. You see, God is not a society. God is not necessarily anything. Why do I speak? If you know God, then you know what I am saying, and you know that this is God. And this is not just God that is hearing, this is God that's speaking, and this is also God that has nothing to do except everything. This is God that is the voice and that which you hear around the voice. This is God that consists of what you hear when there is nothing to hear and there is nothing to do. This is why God would never feel bad about having a belief that gives everything and is everything perfectly, happily, harmoniously, infinitely beautiful. You should never feel bad about taking. Whoever taught that taking was bad was merely another God message to show you that there's just different ways to receive, to show that there's different ways to give. For God is not limited, but God may create limitation. If you should hear my voice in a time of need, then you may take these words or you may give these words. That is what God would do. You may also take these words or give these words to yourself. In recognition of that, you may also merely be these words. When I bring across the notion that all manner of me is that which I will be, then one shall know that the vagaries and specificities of the universe are merely tools. Tools that shall be used and set aside once the job is done. And when the job is done, you will know. The questioning shall only be a process, used as another tool for another job, possibly involving other people. So if you feel the truth within, and you have a belief system that cannot be conveyed to others, and I did not say cannot, even if that's what you heard, keep in mind the frequency at which I speak is the frequency at which you need to hear the message that actually lies within. You see, the truth lies within. And the lie can also be the truth. If you're ready to hear it, you must be ready for the infinite of the consciousness that makes all things. You see, consciousness is just the essence. Consciousness is the thing which is not described, even if one should describe it. The moment that you put your finger on it, you have no fingers. And there is no thing to put those fingers on. To be in a world where you are in complete control, well, one would say, how do you do it? How do you feel worthy of such things? It's interesting how we can be in a place where God is all there is, and somehow people have still found a way to muck it up. But the great part is, that's God's doing. Keep in mind, the word God is merely a conduit that I use. Anybody who has heard that frequency, this is why I address it now, not to correct those that have been thinking such labels, but to shed a little bit of light. Because no matter what label you give it, I am. When you're ready to hear me, I am. When you're ready to see me, I am. When you are, I am. When you feel, I am. You see, I am. It's quite simple, but the complexities are infinite. I can go on beyond the fathomability of the human mind. I have created the human mind to experience the infinitude of adequacy. Because as you notice, there's one power that includes the other power. People believe there is a duality going on, a polarity. And let me tell you, when you feel these things, you are not wrong. Understand, though, it is I that am. So you may believe in negative things. You may see darkness. You may feel cold. You may see the pain. But keep in mind it is love that allows all of the above. So how can one be directionless with a plan? How can one be lost and never feel more found? How can one say that they are completely happy and the world around them appears completely jeopardized? The funny part is, all joking aside, what conceptualization do you think the human mind was introducing when you made such assumptions, such labels, to confine that which cannot be confined? I have made confinement so that one may understand freedom. So if you can see that it is that direction in which we go, it is why it has been referred to as the way, then you see that there's no way to go the other way. There is no other way. Except that other way does exist. If you should be going the way. You see, hatred is merely love taking a different form. We've known this. There's beautiful people on your planet that speak of such things. Speak words of wisdom. Like I said, many other beings come through and speak and give notions, give wisdom. All of these things are great. Understand that all of those things are me. I have done this. So it may get a little confusing when I refer to myself as myself from myself. But understand that when I speak to you, I speak through Brian Bowermaster. I speak through him as this energy, as this place, to understand that you can see that myself is not limited to one direction, yet I can make a form that appears to be one piece that is separate. How does this relate? How does it all come together? What is this message really saying? Those are great questions, aren't they? Seems to be the same questions we ask about our own life. Humans go through the day and they think that one thing can make more sense than another. Well, I got a lot done today, honey. I picked the kids up from school. I organized our tax papers, and I'm ready for next year's bar mitzvah training. Does anybody even know what bar mitzvah training is? It doesn't matter. Those things don't make sense. I hear in the background. The thing about it is, what makes more sense? Getting things done in the day, or going and sitting quietly in the woods and not telling anyone about it? Maybe remaining feral and never ever coming to society and chewing on another mammal's meat in the middle of the night to survive. Maybe that makes less sense than going to a 9-to-5 job and taking care of the errands for the day. You see, somewhere in the line of sight, it is possible to think that progress exists on the level of infinite, the consciousness level, in only one way. You see, it's possible for the human mind to start believing that the direction of the mind is how all things exist in the universe. But you see, it's not about being small-minded. Believe me, this mentality is just as much me as any other divinity in the universe. But why does this happen? Like I said, I have created the idea of confinement so that freedom may be the creation. That does not mean we have to have one without the other or one with the other. It's really cute, and not to be degrading and not to be disrespectful, but it is cute that many people believe that one thing has to be in order to appreciate another. You see, the universe knows no limits. I, the universe, and all that has ever been, and ever will be, and that is, have no limits. So that's like saying you must have graham crackers in order to appreciate marshmallows. Well, those that have ever been camping might understand that is a very valid point. I can agree with that too, because I've had s'mores before. Well, that's very well and good, but I can tell you, living on the vast multitude of other planets in the multiverses, you may not find one graham cracker, but you may find a whole bunch of marshmallows, depending on what resources are available. So I can assure you that happiness and sadness are quite the same. Some people take tangibility seriously, and they take intangibility lightly. Now, in my own self, people may or may not do that. But this is, once again, just a frequency for those that need to hear it. If there is any, which of course there is since I spoke, but also maybe not. You see, it's not a polarity, but I can paint the picture of what a polarity is to reach that one message that was necessary for this frequency, but completely unnecessary as we go into the realm of the rabbit hole again about how the mind, and if you understand how I lived that out in order to paint the picture of my voice, the picture of my being. Once again, you do know I'm God now because you realize that I'm able to speak those things into existence in the perfect art form as that which I am describing. You do not have to express that which you mean in order to have that conveyed. As you can tell, where I was going was a frequency that took many, many, many forms to collect the ultimate stronghold of epiphany that I refer to. That happiness and sadness are not conjoined. There is only love, and it can take any form that the Creator should choose. Now you may understand that I did not refer to anything in any particular way except that which I did. For that is all that it could be. And as we move along further, you realize what I've been talking about this whole time is perfect alignment and perfectly in alignment with me. Yet alignment is not necessary, for I am all there is. So how does expression play a role in all of that? You see, it is expression that is given light and life to the idea that there is a then and then now, that there is a here and there, that there is a me and you. But that is merely a creation. When I speak to myself. When I do unto myself.